Richard James is founder of the Partners Club Mastermind, and he's on a mission to teach attorneys how to be better entrepreneurs.
Hi, I'm Emily LaRouche. Are you ready to make the journey from lawyer to entrepreneur? Every week, I'm sitting down with people who have mastered the art of running a business and want to share with you the lessons they've learned along the way. Join me as we experience the highs, the lows, and everything in between as we learn, share, and grow together. Welcome to Share the Love.
Richard, when a lawyer comes to you and they enroll in your organization, they say, I need your help, what's the first thing you go to work on?
Well, Emily, I don't mean to sound like a lawyer, and I'm not a lawyer, but it all depends, right? Because it depends on what they're struggling with. So attorneys come to us for various different reasons, but it boils down to three main things. One, either they don't have any time, they can't get home in time for dinner, they can't get home on a Saturday, they don't take a vacation without their cell phone and their laptop, or they don't have any money. They just don't make the kind of money they feel they should make after going to school for as long as they went to school. Oftentimes, the lawyers are making less than the poverty level, believe it or not. Or they don't have a plan for freedom, so they don't know how they're going to retire. They're in their 50s, staring retirement in the face, and are realizing that they don't have an exit strategy. So based on where they are is where we now sit down and start saying, okay, let's diagnose what's going on in your firm and then prescribe some solutions. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So depending on which three of the three different options, that's where you're going to start and say, let's dive into it. Let's go there.
Yeah, well, let me give you an example. So Jamie Miller, a great long-term client of mine, started with me in the very beginning. When we first started talking, I said, well, what is your goal? And he said, well, what I really would like to do is not have to work a Saturday anymore. I'd love to be able to trust that my staff is going to run the firm the way it needs to be run, and I won't have to come in on a Saturday. He said, if I didn't make any more money after working with you, but I didn't have to work Saturdays, that would be a win. So that was about 6.5, 7 years ago. Fast forward to just this last weekend, I was visiting him in his firm because I was doing a site visit for a possible next venue for us. And I said to myself, let's go stop and see Jamie. And so I did. And he showed me around to all of his team. When we started, he had 9 people that worked for his team and 45 clients hiring him every single month. Now he has 31 people on his team and over 170 clients hiring him every single month. And guess what? He doesn't have to work Saturdays anymore,
That's
right?
incredible.
But we started with how do we get him to stop having to work Saturdays? That's where it started. It led to everything else, but we wanted to solve the problem he was struggling with right then and there.
That's perfect. And do you find your clients, they'll hit that milestone and say, well, that's nice. Let's go ahead. What's next?
Yeah, I am still saying that, right? So I have my own coach that I pay money to be a part of because I know that I, as an entrepreneur, I've been doing this for 30 years. It always changes. It's never the same journey. You have your own business, right? It's always different day to day.
Yeah.
And so we have to grow. We have to be willing to change with the times and the macroeconomic changes. The staff changes that we experience, and we just have to be staying in community with our peers. And so I find that this journey of entrepreneurship is a never-ending ride.
And I had a couple of misconceptions about coaching when I first got into business, so maybe you can address those. But the first misconception I had was if I needed a coach, I wasn't cut out to do what I was doing.
Yeah.
And the second one was if my coach has a coach, they must not be very good.
Yeah.
So if you could talk to those 2 points.
Well, let's think about it. Like from when you think about coaching, what naturally comes to mind? Not just in business, but when I say coach, what comes to mind for you?
For me, coming from the corporate environment, a coaching usually meant you weren't performing well, and a coach comes in to help you improve. So for me, I have a really negative connotation.
That's interesting.
It's not like someone uplifting you and helping you to achieve your goals. It's helping you to correct where you're already, you're not good enough.
So what's interesting about that is and a lot of people don't know this, but I've never worked in corporate America. So I have no frame of reference for that whatsoever. Since I was 18 years old, I've owned my own business. And so coaching for me came from sports. You see, the best athletes always had the highest level coaches. And the best coaches always had the highest level mentors. And so you look at the Michael Jordans and the Tiger Woods of the world. They have always had great coaches right alongside them in multiple different aspects of their life. The best golfers in the world now don't just have a swing coach. They have a putting coach. They have a psychologist. They have a fitness coach, right? They have a wellness coach. If they're married, they have a marriage counselor, a marriage coach. It makes them better. And so that's the view that I see coaching from. I have a coach because I want to get better. I also have a coach because I want to hang around with people who get me. Because, as an entrepreneur, your relatives sometimes don't know what you do or why, right? Your friends sometimes wonder why you're willing to, entrepreneurship, they said, that summed it up like this. They said, it's the only career choice where you're willing to go to work 80 hours a week for yourself, so you can avoid having to go work 40 hours a week for somebody else, right?
And I wouldn't have it any other way.
Right, we wouldn't have it any other. But our family and our friends don't get it if they're not entrepreneurs, and so you can't talk to them. And so having a coach helps. Now, my business isn't about coaching. I've long since surpassed this me coaching one-on-one. Matter of fact, I do very little of it anymore because what I found is, while the principles that I teach haven't changed, my members and the attorneys that I work with get so much more from learning from each other in a peer group than they ever will from me. Because it's when they hear another person who's doing what they're doing. So a bankruptcy attorney in Florida is doing something that a bankruptcy attorney in California wants to do, and they get together and they share ideas and they start to implement and they watch it work. That's much more powerful than me standing on a stage or being on the other end of the phone saying, you need to do this. Because they don't necessarily believe it, right?
Right.
But when you see your peer do it, you're like, oh, wow, if he or she can do it, I can do it too.
Right.
That
So
makes
let's
sense?
talk a little bit about the mastermind format. How does that work?
In our world, masterminds is about, I read a book called Change or Die many years ago by Alan Deutschman. And Alan Deutschman broke down these principles that said, if somebody really needs to change, in their life or death, it depends on it, why would they not? And he went out and studied these amazing groups of people that had open heart surgeries. He studied criminals. He studied a number of different groups of people that if they didn't change, they were likely going to die. Open heart surgery candidates or people who have that, if they don't change their diet, they're going to end up back on the table having another surgery and may not make it. Criminals often end up back in the system. And he started with the question why, and then he found two groups that defied the odds, that like 80% of the people who had open heart surgery in this particular group didn't end up back on the table. 80% of the criminals in this particular group didn't end up back in the system. And why was it? And he found that there was three common themes of these groups. One, they had a leader that they felt was running the same race with them. So I tell people all the time that I don't just teach you to do things, I do what I teach you to do, and I teach you to do what it is I do. And then two, you put together with a peer group. So like-minded people can join together with other like-minded people. In our case, it's like-minded entrepreneurial attorneys. And then three, and this is the most important, regular doses of activity. Doing something every day, every week, and every quarter. And so our mastermind really looks like daily communication on an app that they have. It looks like weekly communication when they get on the phone with non-competitive small groups and they talk to each other about what's going on. And then every quarter they actually bring their staff over to either to Phoenix or wherever destination we're going to be in, and we train them on how to put these systems into their law firm. And that's where the magic really happens.
And so for the mastermind, a lot of my clients are solo attorneys. I mean, they're all by themselves. I can't imagine they have a lot of resources. And I can see by the phone call patterns and the types of calls and how angry people are, how well the firm is run. And it breaks my heart because I feel like, they should have a lifeline. Is the mastermind a good fit for solos to get the help right away before you've got a larger firm and it's totally chaotic?
Well, so let's put my mastermind in the parking lot for a second because I don't want this to be about me.
Right.
I want to see if we can bring some value to them. So as a small and solo, you just said a very interesting word. You said chaotic. I believe that there is a life cycle of a law firm from chaos to freedom. Chaos is defined as they're in debt, they're working 6 or 7 days a week just to keep their head above water. They don't have any profit. They're barely making the kind of money they need to make. Their life is just a mess. They have no time, no money, no plan, right? The next stage is where they're kind of insanity. They finally started to make a couple of bucks. Their business is growing, but they have no measurements in place for their staff. They don't know what's working or what's not working or why. They still have to work 6 days a week to keep all the plates spinning, and if they stop, the business stops. And then they cross over the threshold into healthy, where they have staff running the business, a business manager running the staff, and they can come and go as they please, and they can work 5 days a week and get home in time for weekends and take vacations. And then finally they get to freedom, where they can take off a month or 2 months and come back and their business is stronger than when they left, that they've got enough money in the bank that they feel financially secure and they're liquid. That's where we want to get the attorneys to. The question is, how do you go from chaos to freedom? And the answer is, when you're a small and solo, to think about getting out of your office and going to a live event. Like you said, nobody's answering the phones regularly as it is, and they're in chaos. If they left their office, their business would stop. It's a scary place. So what you have to do is you need to plug into an organization where you can find a way to plug in that works inside of your schedule, that you wouldn't have to get on a plane and come out right away, but you can still get the support that you need, the accountability that you need, because all you really need is to do little things every single day. 15 minutes, 20 minutes every single day of little decent disciplines, and they'll add up to major changes. And then secondarily, it'd be nice to know the right changes to do, right? So not just confusing activity with accomplishment, actually moving the needle in the right direction. And so find a program, find information. There's lots of information out there. Certainly we offer it, but there's lots of information for lawyers to find the first steps they should take and the things that they should fix first. I'll tell you, the thing that I find that lawyers need to fix sooner than anything else is their profitability. Most of them just aren't profitable. There's lots of reasons for that. But if we can get the profitability fixed, it starts to pave the way to fix a lot of other things.
Right. In my business, I look at if you profits aren't at 10% or above net profits, to me, this is the sign of a sinking ship. It means there's a major problem in the business and corrective action needs to be taken immediately.
Correct.
So every month, that's something I look at is where's our profitability. And I try and tell my team, it's not about me making money and driving a nice car. This is about a healthy business, and a healthy business serves your family. Creates a healthy financial, outcome for everybody.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, do you serve, when you serve your clients, your attorney clients, do you feel that your services help them?
Yes,
And,
absolutely.
and their lives are changed because of what you do for them?
Absolutely.
Okay. So if you don't make profit, can you help more attorneys without that profit? I mean, do you have the ability to help more attorneys if you're losing money every time you bring a new attorney on? Can you continue to do that?
Absolutely not.
No. So if you make more profit, you can help more people. That's my view of this whole thing, right? The business owner should be rewarded with profits. They've taken the risk, they've put their money on the line, their time on the line, their family on the line. There is a reward for being a business owner. And the staff need to be paid what we would consider a market-based fair wage, right? We can't abuse people because that's not good for anybody. Assuming the staff is paid a market-based wage and they like what they do, if the business is profitable, that means that we can go out and we can help more people. And that's my message to lawyers. You want to be the best service to your community, make sure you're profitable.
Yes.
Make sense?
Absolutely. And coming up, I grew up poor, so you have a mindset about people with money, and now I'm shifting it to, hey, the more money I make, the more I can help the community, and I can help the community way more as a wealthier person than I ever could as a poor person.
Amazing, right?
So it's a huge mind shift.
I'm with you. My mom, by the way, when I was a kid, she used to have WICs for women and children because I had 3 brothers and sisters at below the age of 3 when I was 12 years old. And, we didn't have welfare, but she certainly needed all the help that she could get because my dad was out of work and the economy was tough. And my grandfather was an old school guy, good guy, patient guy, hardworking guy, but he thought money was bad because he had grown up poor too. And he kind of transferred that to me. It took a long time and many years of me having to figure out that, no, money can make good people better and bad people worse, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of mind shifting, do you think that solo attorneys, I think a lot of them do it with the right intentions, but I do feel like you have to have an entrepreneurial spirit. So can that be taught versus being an intrinsic thing?
That is a loaded question.
I know, that's a big one.
Yeah. So I find that some attorneys come to us and they see law as a calling. And in that case, those folks really are almost beyond our help because they don't see themselves as wanting to be profitable. They think that they're really almost in the clergy. And that's okay.
Right.
But if they don't see themselves as having law as a business, then it's tough. Now, other folks don't want to be entrepreneurs. Other attorneys, they don't want to be the entrepreneur. They actually like being the lawyer, right? But they just can't see clear to running the business. So in that case, I would put them in 2 camps. The one who wants to be an entrepreneur, natural, easy to teach them. They usually gravitate to this stuff the fastest. The one who wants to be a lawyer, nothing wrong with that, but they just have to find somebody who is going to run the business for them. Does that
They
make
need
sense?
an integrator.
They need an integrator.
Got it.
Absolutely, using the traction terminology.
Yes.
Yeah, they need an integrator,
I'm a
right?
huge Traction fan, so
Yeah.
I'm just going to put a shout out right now.
Yeah.
If you're a book reader, you've got to read Traction.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, we live by it. So,
I do too.
yeah.
We call it the Betty's operating system.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so instead
I
of
love it.
EOS, I changed it to BOS, and we call it the BOSS system.
I love
And
it.
that is our entrepreneurial operating system, how we run our business.
Yeah,
So
we
too
run
cool.
we run this. I'm older than he is, and the author of that book, and so I've been doing a little bit longer, and so I had my own version of it, and I went through Michael Gerber's eMyth program way back when in the late '90s, early 2000s, and so that really helped me understand how to build systems in my business. But then I think Traction did a great job of making it paint by the numbers to a certain extent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's next for you?
Well, for us, we're pretty much. I've got a couple of exciting things. So right around the corner is our boot camp that happens in November. So every year we open up our mastermind meeting where people can come in and get a glimpse as to what we do. We have a 4-day event where you can come in and you can participate. Tickets aren't crazy expensive, and we invite guests. We have Mike Michalowicz, which is a guest speaker this year. He wrote the book Profit First.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and Profit First is near and dear to me because, as I said to you, profit is a vital thing to fix. And so we have the boot camp right around the corner. But really for us, it's just day in, day out, just finding the next attorney who's out there looking for some help. And we do that just by sharing the wealth of knowledge that we have and giving it away for free. And if they think they've found value in us, they tend to naturally want to take the next step.
Awesome. I have some rapid fire questions for you before you go.
Let's do it.
All right. What is the last movie you saw?
The last movie I saw was the Star Wars movie. That wasn't that long ago.
Happiness means?
Happiness means a relationship with God, a closeness to my family, and a business that makes me want to wake up in the morning.
What is the best vacation you've ever taken?
Best vacation I've ever taken is, so I take the same one every year for 19 years. Me and my wife and my 2 kids and another couple and their 2 kids go to Virginia Beach every year, the same place, on the same beach. And the best part about it is consistency. We take lots of great vacations to lots of great places, but this one we do every year. It's my
That's
favorite
amazing.
vacation.
What is your favorite book?
Well, I've got a number. Probably Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand, but certainly Think and Grow Rich. And that was the first book that was given to me in 1987 that started changing my life. But my favorite is probably Atlas Shrugged.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And how can our viewers connect with you?
If they want a free copy of any one of the books that I have or watch any of our videos, you can go to therichardjames.com. That's therichardjames.com. And you can download a free copy of our book, The Attorney's Guide to Personal and Financial Freedom. And we're happy to send you one, no cost, no obligation. And if it makes sense, then they can take the next step.
Awesome. Richard James, thank you for being here.
Oh, you're welcome, Emily. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Share the Love. Make sure to give us a thumbs up, share, and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and Google Play to get the latest content.